الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Before any big event in our lives, any major event, we want to make sure that we prepare beforehand. We want to make sure that we are adequately prepared to do our best at the time when that event or challenge comes. Just to put it in perspective, let's say there's a student in school. He has to take his some big exam, take his SAT, for example. So if he wants to do well on the exam, he's probably not just going to show up on the day of the exam and just take it like that, you know, without any preparation, without any studying, doing some practice tests, etc. Right? We recognize that I want to spend some time in preparation. Also, you know, this applies in different aspects of life. Like, for example, you know, I know in terms of physical fitness, some of us might be in quite good shape. But for the rest of us, you know, if I said, you know, next week or next month, I want you to be able to run 2 miles in 12 minutes. You know, not 12 minutes per mile. I know that's hard for people like me, you know, but I mean like 6 minutes per mile. You know, I want to run 2 miles in 12 minutes. So, for somebody who's not in so good shape, they'd be like, how am I going to do that in a month? Or you might just try, maybe I'll just try doing it. What's going to happen? He'll tire out after like a few minutes. He'll get like 2 minutes into it, maybe 3 minutes. He'll be like, oh, I got to start walking now. I got to stop. I can't do this. So what will make that person actually prepare? Like if I say to you, okay, whoever could do that, then I'm going to give them 1 month from now, I'll give you $1. I don't know if that's going to be worth it for everybody to put that much time into it, right? Like that much effort. Maybe you start working out every day, exercising. Try to build up your stamina, build up your aerobic fitness. But on the other hand, if there's some major event, like we see like professional athletes, let's say we say, okay, if you win this race or if you could beat this challenge, you get $1 million. Then maybe it'll be different. Everybody's going to be running to join the Fusion Fitness or whatever, right? Like we'll make the effort for that, inshallah, right? Like if we realize this is so beneficial for us, right? If you say you're going to get $1 million. So what's the difference there? It's the same thing. It's that you realize how important the event is, how important this task is. So we should apply this same mindset to our deen. So the question is, why am I mentioning this now? Well, if you look at the calendar, maybe about a month and another week or so, approximately, right? Inshallah will be, if Allah allows us, will be in the month of Ramadan. So, if we're going to apply that same type of logic, right, the first step is we have to ask ourselves, is it something that we should prepare for? It's like, do we compare it to that athletic event where we go and we get like, a $1 prize if we prepare for a month, or is it that we get $1 million or more than that? Right? So the first part of this is that we have to assess our level of commitment to that event. Like, do we value that event? How much do we value it? Do we realize its importance? So we see that for those who are trying to get closer to Allah, they realize that this month of Ramadan is a great opportunity, right? It's like the prime opportunity for us to move closer to Allah. That if we look at it in terms of trying to achieve any success in our deen, right? There's different elements involved. We could say there's 3 main elements, regardless of what type of action or time of year or any ibadah what we're looking at. Number 1 is, of course, Allah's mercy. It's Allah's mercy that He allows us to do something. He gives us the ability to be, for example, in the month of Ramadan when it comes to, He gives us the, as we say, the tawfiq, the ability to do some action. And He accepts that action. That's out of His mercy. That's one aspect. The other is trying to avoid and suppress the deterrents that prevent us from moving close to Allah. So those are primarily, of course, shaitan, the shayateen, that are trying to obstruct us from the remembrance of Allah, and then ourselves, the nafs. So that's the second aspect, right? So first, Allah's mercy. Second is to stop the impeding actions of shaitan, and then our nafs on top of that. And the third is our effort. You have to put some effort into whatever it is we would like to achieve. Right? We can't just think, okay, we're going to hope for Allah's mercy, but somebody thinks Allah is merciful, so I'm not going to, I don't have to pray. Right? That's not a good course of action. That's not a way that we can, expect to gain and attract Allah's mercy. But all 3 of those aspects of trying to attain some success in our deen are going to be present in the month of Ramadan. Like I mentioned, as far as Allah's mercy, that in the month of Ramadan, it's like the mercy of Allah is being manifest in ways that during other times of the year is just not at that level, we can say. In general, for people, the opportunity to partake in Allah's mercy. And like we might be familiar with, that we are told that the shayateen, right, the roadblocks that I mentioned before, right, the shayateen, those are locked up. Like it says in a hadith, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل شهر رمضان فتحت أبواب السماء وغلقت أبواب جهنم وسلسلت الشياطين. That when the month of Ramadan enters, the gates of heaven are opened, and the gates of hellfire are closed, and the shayateen, the devils, are chained. So there we're being told this, like the mercy of Allah is almost like just descending upon us, right when the month of Ramadan begins, and the shayateen are locked up. So that's like two of those three things that I mentioned already. And then as far as that aspect of effort, already it is prescribed upon us in that month to put some of that effort forth, right? To fast, for example, right? That it's farth upon us to fast. What is that? That's not something that we would normally find easy to do. It requires some effort, right? It's something. It's something that could be difficult for us, if we think about it, to abstain from food and drink for the whole day, right? That's not easy, but if we do it for the sake of Allah, we realize its importance, then it becomes easy for us. But the point is, already in that month, Allah has set it up for us that we are going to be, if we follow His commandments, we're going to be putting automatically that effort forth. So we have Allah's mercy. We're free from the distraction of the shayateen. And we're already striving for His sake. And as a result of that striving, we also suppress our desires from fasting, right? So that the obstacles from the nafs are also suppressed. So that should tell us that, this is a great opportunity for us. So just like if a person knows, right, like I said, something's coming a little bit more than a month from now. Like I mentioned, like if I tell you, if you do this thing, you'll get $1 million. Then we want to start preparing now. If somebody has to take that exam, he's taking the SAT a month from now, a student in high school, he's probably going to be, if he didn't already start preparing, if he realizes the importance of that exam, he's already going to be preparing now. Again, if we recognize the importance, the opportunity there, then we're going to start that preparation. So the question then is, how do we prepare? What should we do? And just like in other aspects of our deen, we can first learn from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that we see he used to, both in this current month and the coming month of Sha'ban, he used to make dua and instruct others to make dua to allow us to reach Ramadan and to allow us to have this barakah and blessing of Allah in this time before Ramadan. Where the dua that we might have heard before, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. That in this dua, we pray that Allah blesses us in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, and that He allows us to reach Ramadan. So we can see the importance of it, that the Prophet ﷺ beforehand, months before, he would be making this dua, that we would be given this blessing of reaching the month of Ramadan. And it's reported that the Sahaba, after the Prophet ﷺ, it used to be their practice that they would make dua that Allah would allow them to reach Ramadan 6 months before. 6 months before the month. And then after the month, for 6 months, they used to make dua that Allah would accept whatever they did in Ramadan. So basically throughout the whole year, they were either preparing for Ramadan, making dua that Allah allows them to reach Ramadan, and then they would afterwards, for months, make dua that Allah would accept their actions in whatever they did in Ramadan. So that shows that what their mindset was, right? That they recognize the importance of this month. So then we can think, okay, what are we supposed to do then? It's one thing to recognize the importance, right? We see that from the Sunnah. But what is it that we are supposed to do? So again, we can see what were the actions of the Prophet ﷺ. That we are told that he would frequently fast in the month of Sha'ban. He would frequently fast in the coming month of Sha'ban. That in one hadith, it is said that reported from Aisha radiallahu anha, أنه تقول كان أحب الشهور إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يصومه شعبان بل كان يصله برمضان. That the most beloved of months to fast in was this month of Sha'ban, the coming month of Sha'ban. That the Prophet ﷺ would fast in there so often that how much that it'd be almost as if he's connecting, by fasting frequently, almost as if it's like his fasting is being connected with Ramadan. Like when Ramadan came in, it wouldn't be such a huge change. They would already see him fasting. That was his practice. Right? So that's something that we can learn from. Just like with the person who's trying to prepare for that race. If you haven't, gone running, jogging, whatever, it's going to be difficult for you all of a sudden just to turn that switch on and say, okay, now I'm going to do this, I'm going to run a mile in 6 minutes. Right? It takes some preparation. So same thing with fasting. If we start fasting beforehand, right? If we start fasting beforehand, first of all, we're following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We would try to obtain that great reward. But also, from we could say the physical sense, we will be getting our bodies ready for that, right? It won't be like a sudden switch that we have to turn on. Because what happens? Then Ramadan comes, then we start fasting, and then we're like, in the first few days, you might be like really tired, exhausted. It's harder for you to do extra ibadah, to pray at night, etc. Right? So you want to get on that training program beforehand. This is the instruction. This is what we see from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, what else are we going to do we hope to do in Ramadan? We hope to stand in prayer at night. So if somebody doesn't have a habit of that, then it will become, again, very difficult for him to do so. So now, on the other hand, if we take advantage of this time before that, a little more than a month, somebody starts doing even 2 rak'ah of salah after Salatul Isha, before he sleeps, or in the early morning, the tahajjud time, he gets in that habit, right? It's almost as if he starts working out beforehand, right? Before he gets to that final race, right? He'll be in a better position when he gets to that. Reciting Quran, right? If we're used to we don't even open the Quran until Ramadan comes, it might not be so easy to try to be saying, oh, now I'm going to read the whole Quran. It might be difficult for us. But if we have a regular habit of doing that, we start now. We say, okay, I'm going to recite this much Quran every day. I'm going to try to recite a juz of Quran every day, whatever I can do. Then when Ramadan comes, it won't be such a sudden change for us. In fact, we can even go beyond that, right? We can try to increase our from above our baseline. So in any act that we think we're going to do in Ramadan, the time to prepare should already have started. That's why I'm mentioning it now, that it's a prime time. We're getting into this time when there's, you could say there's weeks left, right? So now's the time that we can think we should prepare ourselves for that month. Not only through these acts of ibadah, but also, it takes some planning. Just like anything else in life, like I said, you got to plan for it beforehand. Like somebody can say, okay, I'm going to make a plan in Ramadan. I'm going to go to this, make sure my schedule is free to go to this masjid, or wherever you are, to the local masjid to do the Salatul Tarawih, to listen to the whole Quran, to make sure my work schedule is not overloaded at that time. Whatever's in your control. You can try to set up beforehand so when the month comes, you're not scrambling at the last second. Kind of like when somebody has like a large sum of, let's say he has some funds, some assets. He's going to want to make sure that he is investing those assets, using those assets in the best way possible. So our asset in the month of Ramadan, since it's defined as a month, right? It's defined by it's measured in time. Our asset that we do have is the time that we can spend, right? So we want to make sure that our time when Ramadan does come, that it is spent in the best way possible. We can maximize the benefits of that month. And that we don't want to be amongst the people who fail to get any benefit from that month. Just like we don't want to be somebody who shows up at the exam without studying at all, then what's going to happen? Probably going to fail. So this is also that we see that the Prophet ﷺ in another hadith had said that when he said that he actually said Ameen to the dua that the angel Jibreel had said, based on that, the one who goes to Ramadan and he is not, who reaches the month of Ramadan and he is not forgiven, then Jibreel said that he will enter hellfire and Allah will cast him far away, almost like he's making a curse upon the person. And when the Prophet ﷺ heard this, he said that the Sahaba saw the Prophet ﷺ climbing the mimbar and saying Ameen. And then he explained to them afterwards why he was saying that. So if we think about it, since everything is so set up for us to benefit from that month, a person would have to be like such a, we can say almost foolish to not take advantage of that month. In the end, of course, it's up to Allah from His mercy. But whatever's in our control, if we're not even aware of it, if we don't make that effort, then we can say it'll be like a fool who's wasting a great opportunity. So we want to be free from these people, like this, such a person who's basically has a curse of Allah upon him for not taking advantage of the month of Ramadan and being forgiven during that month. So I pray that Allah allows us to start our preparation beforehand and allows us to attract the mercy of Allah Ta'ala in the month of Ramadan and to maximize our time in Ramadan. And so before we proceed, just to say a few of the words in Arabic for those who do also like to have the khutbah in Arabic. Just a few words though. الحمد لله استعين واستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وقد روي في الحديث أن عبد الله بن أبي قيس حدثه أنه سمع عائشة تقول كان أحب الشهور إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يصومه شعبان بل كان يصله برمضان قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم الحمد لله يستعينه ويستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرًا ونذيرًا بين يدي الساعة من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشهدهم في أمر الله عمر وأصدقهم حياء عثمان وقضاهم علي وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا. الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم غرضا من بعدي، فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم، ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم. وخير أمة قرني، ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. وقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
So come straight in the lines. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. فلا أقسم بما تبصرون وما لا تبصرون، إنه لقول رسول كريم، وما هو بقول شاعر، قليلا ما تؤمنون، ولا بقول كاهن، قليلا ما تذكرون. تنزيل من رب العالمين. ولو تقول علينا بعض الأقاويل لأخذنا منه باليمين، ثم لقطعنا منه الوتين، فما منكم من أحد عنه حاجزين. وإنه لتذكرة للمتقين، وإنا لنعلم أن منكم مكذبين، وإنه لحسرة على الكافرين، وإنه لهو الحق اليقين. فسبح باسم ربك العظيم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. فما
ما للذين كفروا قبلك مهطعين وعن اليمين وعن الشمال عزين أيطمع كل امرئ منهم أن يدخل جنة نعيم كلا إنا خلقناهم مما يعلمون فلا أقسم برب المشارق والمغارب إنا لقادرون على أن نبدل خيرا منهم وما نحن بمسبوقين فذرهم يخوضوا ويلعبوا حتى يلاقوا يومهم الذي يوعدون يوم يخرجون من الأجداث سراعا كأنهم إلى نصب يوفضون خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة ذلك اليوم الذي كانوا يوعدون سمع الله لمن حمده